Awesome. So, thank you all for being here tonight and listening to this presentation. We are super excited to hear Eric share on literacy intervention, especially because literacy is a part of our field that a lot of times that we don't really have a lot of access to and a lot of information. I know my program really input the value of literacy, so I'm happy that we get to have Eric here teaching us more about it. So I'm going to hand it off to you, Eric, and you can begin whenever you're ready.
All right, thank you. Yeah, I'm excited to present. I just want to say thank you for giving me the opportunity to present. And I hope this people could get something
Thank
out of
you.
this.
Happy.
Hopefully. So let me just share my screen. So hello everybody. My name is Eric Calderon. Let me present. I'll continue to share. All right. So, hello, everybody. My name is Eric Calderon, and thank you for joining me today. Full disclosure, I'm not paid or affiliated with any of these programs or any of the screeners or anything that I'm about to share with you. Also, I'm not an expert on this topic. I'm just very passionate about it. And I might mispronounce some words or two, so just letting you guys know. Also, there's some scientific information, so hopefully it doesn't really bore you guys too much. Or on the contrary, I was talking to my classmate about it, and he made a good point that not a lot of slippas get the opportunity to learn more about it in a scientific perspective. So that's the things that I enjoy. So hopefully you guys enjoy it as well when it comes across. So I just wanted to ask the people here if what setting do you guys work in? That way I could have an idea of like my audience. And you can just put it in the chat. So if you work in the hospitals, in the schools, or um, private clinic. So I got a lot of private clinic, one hospital and one elementary. All right, cool. All right. So I also work at a private clinic as an SLPA. Um, and then I'm a grad student at University of Nebraska Kearney online. About to graduate in December. So I just want to keep also in mind, I want to let you guys know that I'm looking this at a perspective as an SLPA, not an SLP. I know I'm gonna be hopefully an SLP soon, so I just want to let you guys know that this is a SLPA perspective, and it's from my experience. I've used this intervention tools from my perspective as an SLPA. So let me get started. So um, a reading disorder is also known as a specific learning disability in reading. Impacts a person's ability to read fluently and accurately. These difficulties persist despite adequate instructions in cognitive ability. The core areas affected are phonological processing, word decoding, reading fluency, and comprehension. The issues affects both children and adults, often appearing early in life and continuing into adulthood if not effectively addressed. Um, so some core features of reading disorders are reading disorders manifest in different ways. Common challenges include trouble recognizing words, sounding them out, and connecting letters to sounds. Spelling is often inconsistent, um, and recognizing words, sounding them out, connecting letters to sounds. Um, Many individuals read slowly and inaccurately, which naturally leads to poor comprehension. Beyond academics, these struggles can deeply affect confidence and motivation, leading to frustration and hesitation to engage with the reading task. So The well-known and most common reading disorder is dyslexia. It's biological in origin and affects around 5 to 10% of the population. Some estimates go even higher than that, suggesting 20% may show signs. Dyslexia involves difficulties with phonological awareness, spelling, decoding, and word recognition. While it does not affect intelligence, it makes the act of reading specifically difficult. Diagnosis is often made using standardized assessment and observational data. So it's language based. It's not a problem with vision. It's genetic. It passes down through families, and it's common. About 1 in 5 children have dyslexia. Other reading disorders. So there's more reading disorders. Reading disorders don't just stop in dyslexia. For example, we had dysgraphia through it's primarily writing disorder and can affect reading through poor spelling and written expression. We have reading comprehension disorder, which involves reading fluently without understanding any text. Language processing disorder affects the ability to process and make sense of spoken or written language. And visual processing disorder interfere with letter recognition. I also put hyperlexia. This is kind of the opposite of dyslexia, which a child would read beyond their age level or above their age level. It's often seen with kids with autism. I have a few kids in my caseload that show hyperlexia. So it's pretty interesting how they're able to spell and write, even though sometimes they have limited comprehension. Um, so neurological and genetic foundations. So reading disorders. Oh, this is a science part of it. So hopefully you guys are excited. Reading disorders have strong neurological roots. MRI studies show that children with family histories of reading challenges exhibit differences in brain development even before they begin to read. For example, the left inferior frontal gyrus, important for processing language, may have reduced gray matter, while other parts of the brain show compensatory increases. This reinforces the idea that reading disorders are not simply about poor teaching or lack of effort. Um, so, functional brain imaging gives us even more of an insight. People with dyslexia often show reduced activation in the key left hemisphere regions used for decoding and word recognition. These includes the parietal, temporal, and occipital temporal areas. Interestingly, they may over rely on the frontal brain areas to compensate. EEG studies even suggest distinct subtypes of dyslexia based on brain wave patterns. This could mean that we could do a more tailored intervention, just reading the brain waves. Let's see. So, contributing factors, reading success depends on a combination of genetic and cognitive and environmental factors. Early oral language development, such as vocabulary and grammar, is crucial. Children who enter school with limited language exposure are at greater risk, regardless of genetic predisposition. Environmental aspects like family literacy practices and socioeconomic status also play a role. Holistic intervention strategies should consider all these influences when implementing an intervention. Um, so now I'll be talking about since we're SLPAs and we're not SLPs, or we could not do assessments, but we could do screeners. These are screeners that I have personally used, and I have put some of my favorite. There's many out there that you could use. but these are the ones I've used personally. So we have so early edification is essential. The screener for reading and writing helps teachers and educators flag students with risk of dyslexia. The Q3 is a dynamic tool that measures decoding, language comprehension, and progress over time. So I'll show you guys. So I'm gonna have to stop sharing and then reshare again. So excuse me for doing that. Let's see. Let me open it up. And so I'm gonna reshare with sound. All right, so you guys can see my screen? Cool. So this is a website that I'm gonna share with everybody. It's a website I created. It has a lot of different things about um, reading and writing strategies. So you guys could check it out. It also has this whole 10-page paper research that I did on this PowerPoint. So it has all the information specifically about the PowerPoint within this 10-page paper. So you guys could read if you want. It has a lot of things that you guys could use. This is assessment, so it's more geared towards SLP, but it has intervention and other things you could check out. So, what was I looking at? Oh yeah, narrative. So talking about the Cube 3, this is the example of the Cube 3.
This is Bryn, NLM Reading, third grade benchmark, story 3. So this is for winter. Hey, please read this out loud. Do your very best reading. I'll help you if you need it. When you're done, I might ask you to tell me the story.
Yes.
So this clinician has the client read out loud a paragraph, and within that paragraph, he marks down the errors that they see within the client. And with that, it gives you a lot of information regarding the overall child's reading ability. So here's another video of me actually performing the. So I'm going to tell you a story to a client, and if you can see right here, it's under 10 minutes. The more you do it, the more faster you get. 7 minutes, 40. This clinician took 7 minutes, and I took 10 minutes. So it doesn't take that long to do one story to be able to uh, evaluate the child's language ability. So this is one of my favorites. You could check it out and try to implement it. So now I'm gonna stop and reshare and share my PowerPoint. So the other one is miscue analysis. Um, oops, I'll continue to share. Okay. So the other one's miscues analysis. It's a more qualitative method, looking at types of errors that readers make and what those errors reveal about their thinking. So let me stop sharing and reshare. So this I'll also provide for you guys. I'll share the link after the presentation so you guys can check it out. It's miscues analysis. And this the children read passages, and within those errors, they're divided into subcategories of uh, what the types of errors mean of their way of thinking. Let me show you. So it's graphophonic system, semantic system, syntactic systems. So it goes in more in depth of how the reader is producing the errors and how to find some target skills to be able to work on through intervention. Um, Let me reshare my PowerPoint. And then the last one is, which I recommend, is San Diego Quick Assessment. It offers a fast way for students to be able to see what grade level the client is reading at. So Sorry if it I had to keep taking it out and resharing. But let me see. Open hyperlink. And then, so here's the San Diego quick assessment. It's one of my favorites. Super easy to do. You just have the kids read the words, and then once you find out their ceiling or the amount of errors they made, you have like you find out where what their reading age is at or grade level is at. So as you can see, if the child makes so much errors, and this is their ceiling right here, they're reading at grade 4, for example. Um, so that's a fun way of finding their grade level of reading. Um, so let me reshare again the PowerPoint. Um, so once once we understand the child's reading level, we need to be able to match it with appropriate materials, appropriate books. So one way of doing that is using this method called the Frye readability graph, which allows educators to access the difficulty level of a certain text based on sentence length, syllables. This ensures that the students aren't just reading books that are too hard or too easy for them, and instead are engaged with materials that supports their growth without causing frustration. So I'll show you guys how to use this one as well. Mm, so bear with me. How's everyone doing? Good? Still with me? All right, so you could find the reading level of the certain text by doing it manually. You have to get over 200 words, I believe, and be able to see. And then there's like a certain calculation you could do to find it, but to make it more easier, you can find the text of that book you're going to share with the client. If you Google the book, I'm pretty sure you could find it online for free. So I'll give you an example. So I'm gonna go back to my website, and I have certain books in here, a book in here I could use. So I'll do, yeah, so I'll do Charlie's Chocolate Factory. So I'll get this paragraph from chapter 1. Oops. And I'll just copy and paste. So I'll go back to this website and I'll just paste it. Then calculate the text. So it gives you all these numbers. But in the graph, you can see that it ends right here. It's pointed here. So these are all numbers from grade levels, so 1 through 15. So if you can see right here, it's right above grade level 3 and going into grade level 4. So this text would be a fourth grade level, a beginning fourth grade level. Um, so that's pretty cool. You guys could use this website. Let's see. So I'll go back to my presentation. Um, all right, let me go back. Sorry. So, so with using all this information and using the text, and using this website, you could find a book that's beneficial for your client. And you could target areas like vocabulary, syntax, narrative, expository discourse, phonological foundations, reading fluency and comprehension, spelling. So you could target all these different goals and an intervention through books, through literacy. And these are kind of screeners and ways of you being able to find out what's perfect for your client. So going off of phonological foundations, just having kids being able to put sound into the letters. I recommend these two programs. Lively Letters is my personal favorite, and Building Literacy One Sound at a Time. There's hundreds of programs out there Hooked on Phonics. You can name quite a few. It's whatever you prefer, but me, I like using Lively Letters because it also helps a lot with articulation kids. So I'm gonna share with you an example. Uh,
3 ways Google's Notebook
oops. So let me stop and reshare. Let's see. So sorry about.
LM helps me study for.
So I think I'm gonna have to share.
I am a mother who's quiet and tall, so my baby can sleep. I'm not noisy at all. I put my lips together and puff out some air, but I keep my voice off so the baby won't.
Now, wasn't that awesome? You guys want to see B? See.
Hi, I'm the baby. I have lots of toys. I hate taking naps and I make lots of noise. I put my lips together and when air pops out, I put on my voice like a motor and shout. Ba, 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 ba.
So yeah, that's Lively Letters. It uses animation characters and multi-sensory activities to teach letter sounds and in a fun, memorable way. I noticed that kids really love that. I mean, you don't have to be as uh, a singer and be able to sing that well, but I try my best. All right, so let me go next to the next slide. So early intervention is crucial and is very important. Intervention should start early, ideally before 5 years old. So we can support young children by creating language-rich environments. This means reading out loud, using rhymes, songs, and talking about pictures and stories. Simple actions like labeling objects, expanding on a child's utterances helps build vocabulary. Visual aids and multi-sensory activities like texture, letters, and further reinforces learning. Caregiver involvement is crucial for success. So, me personally, when I have intervention, early childhood intervention, I like to take a couple of literacy materials, a lot of touch books, books that you could open, books that you could feel. These are favorable, and kids really enjoy those. Building blocks that you could stack up that are alphabet are very fun. Simple whiteboard is very effective. There's also whiteboards that you could trace and then make different colors. You're just using your fingers or a pen. And my personal favorite too, AAC device, just having the AAC device there with this page out with the letters. Kids could just be pressing it and making up real words or made up words. It's always fun. Um, so yeah, so in summary, to wrap things up, reading disorders are complex but manageable with the right tools and strategies. Dyslexia and related challenges are neurodevelopmental, not motivational. Early identification and evidence-based individualized interventions can change outcomes dramatically. programs like Lively Letters, screeners like Q3, and caregiver participation all play vital roles. So let's continue working together and help these kids read. And these are my references. And then I'll share with you guys right now all the stuff. So yeah. Uh, yeah, I'm
Awesome.
done.
Okay, this is all super, super informative. And then I liked what you said earlier about like some of those resources being used for our articulation kids, because I know a bunch of us have kids with artic disorders on our caseload. So this is all super, super helpful. So with that being said, though, so we're gonna open up the floor for Q&A. So if you guys have any questions at all, for Eric, feel free to ask them right now so we can get like a conversation going. Um, and you also have experience with AAC, right? Aren't you an AT
Yeah,
specialist or you've been under an AT specialist? So he also has a lot of info in that area as well.
yeah. So I got a certification on AT from Northridge. Also I've been
That's
working
where we're
I've been working with the AC for years now, like four, 4 or 5 years. Yeah. I'm very passionate about AC. I met Dr. Buchelman. I mean, my professor is a mentee from Dr. Buchelman. He's a well-known pioneer of AAC. Rest in peace. He passed away during COVID. Uh,
Hmm.
I'm also a big fan of Janice Light. She created a program that it's free, I think, if you're a student from Penn State. You can learn a lot about AAC. So yeah, if you guys have questions regarding that, I'm always happy to answer. I'm just like putting some links down on chat. And if there's any questions,
For
just
your AAC certification,
I'm sorry, what was that? Oh, I'm sorry.
for your AAC certification, what
You cut off in the end. I'm so sorry.
can you hear
Jackie, do you want to type in your question? You want to type it?
me?
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
It's not really AEC, it's like AT, so assistive technology. It has like not just AAC, but varieties of assistive technology devices that you could be able to help a client with. So you do anywhere from like when a person is blind, or um, like different types of disorders, how to implement a device to be able to help them. Cerebral palsy, stuff like that.
How
So
long
it's
did it take you? Oh, sorry. How
no, go
long
ahead.
did it take you to get that certification?
So it takes a couple of months. I think I want to say like probably like a semester of material that you have to do. So it's like divided between assessments, uh, screeners, um, and then they give you like case studies where you decide what types of assistive technology they need. Um, and I think the course is like 3 to 4 grand. I don't remember. Yeah, but I don't like I took it, but haven't really used it to be honest. I mean, I all the experience I got from my graduate school with AAC, I think I learned more from there. But I haven't really like gone to a job and been like, oh, I got this certification. Like, they like I don't think I've been. I think it's more like an IT, like a person that works at, I don't know, like rehabilitation center, like we're being able to decide what device to give a person. Um, I don't know if that's making sense.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. Jackie, did that answer all of your questions regarding that? Okay, perfect.
Okay, cool.
Yay! And then does anyone else have any questions regarding an AAC or what we covered during literacy intervention?
For the screeners, at what age do you start wondering if a kiddo has or need a screener? Um, how often do you use the screeners? So, um, I have a huge caseload of kids with autism. Um, Usually I start trying to figure out if they could like spell or if they could like write. So oops, sorry. That was my timer. So usually those tools that I take in, um so I have a little so I have a caseload with kids and right away I try to like figure them out to see if they like enjoy literacy any kind of way. So I get the books, I start reading with them. And then you'll see kids that like they just start like reading or writing, the words and letters. So now I'm like curious about like, oh, this kid knows how to read. Um, what can I use to figure out like what level is he reading at? So I'll use like the San Diego screener, and then I'll just show them the words, and then they sometimes read them. But I mean, if you feel, because I know the MIS-Q analysis and the Q3, those are already for kids that already read, right? So you can't really apply those screeners to a kid that doesn't know how to read. But you could do things like the lively letters and try to help them start reading already. Um, I don't know if that answered your question. All right, so how often do I use the screeners? I probably use it um, once, and then I find out like what errors they're making. So I figure them out like how they're thinking when they're reading, right? So I kind of have an idea of like, okay, this is the amount of errors they're doing, this is what their train of thought is, kind of, and be able to implement what their goals already have, what they already have, and being able to apply that. Um, so I could find like how best help them, right? If that makes sense. Um, I don't know if it's making sense. But um, so I use the screeners pretty often, probably like once a month on especially when I get a new kid, older kids, I like to use um some of the screeners. All right, so I have a few kiddos that parents expect dyslexia or other reading disorders. Okay. Will you start thinking about it before they start school? A lot of my parents start asking when they're about to start kinder or first grade. But at that time, I've gotten asked before they can read. Um, Usually, so reading starts. Okay, I gotta check. Do you know when reading usually starts, Ruth, for kiddos?
Ooh, I'm not sure because I know I started reading pretty early. I think
Yeah,
it
but
can start before the age of 5, though.
just the
Yeah,
milestone.
so 5, Christian
Five.
said 5.
Okay,
Okay, that's what I was, yeah.
yeah. So 5 is kind of, I think I would say the best time
Yeah.
to start trying to figure out if the kiddo could read. Um, so yeah.
And that would place you around like kinder, I would
Yeah,
say.
first
Yeah.
grade, kinder. Yeah.
And I think some of the time, and I've noticed I've done this too, is I think we underestimate kids and what they can do or what they're capable of doing. And then you find like just get them exposed to it and then see what happens. Because if you don't expose them to anything like
Yeah.
reading or even language or harder vocabulary, then you can't expect them to magically know how to do those things. So, yeah.
Yeah. And then I have kiddos that I have this particular case that I would bring out like the AC device and he wasn't interested in it. I would bring out the books, he wouldn't like the books. I bring out that whiteboard and he wouldn't like it. And then one day I just brought out the blocks, the alphabet blocks, and he just started spelling out words.
Cool.
It was like red, play, um, and I have a feeling that this kid might have apraxia of speech, but yet he's able to spell all these words, and yeah, so I thought that was pretty interesting. And if it wasn't for like me just stopping at just books and just not bringing in any more literacy materials, I would never ever caught that. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, and then like being able to implement like things like lively letters early on helps the kids read, even if they have dyslexia. So if parents expect that particular kid, Jackie, that they have dyslexia, start putting them into a program where they could start learning how to connect sound to the letters.
That's smart.
So I have some Arctic kids that would get confused with reading words and the speech sounds. So yeah, um, a program you could implement using that. Yeah, like lively letters. It's good. Do kids get hooked on lively letters? Yeah, they do.
I bet. I can think of some of my own clients where I'm like, oh, they would love this. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, one
That's
of
so
my
cool.
one of my coworkers, she actually has a group starting where we get kids from therapy go into one session and they do lively letters. That's all the session is like creating words. There's these things called make believe or alien words where they just make up any kind of word using sounds. That's pretty cool. And
Okay.
they seem like to really enjoy it because they're coming in every day. Yeah,
Okay. That's
yeah,
cool though.
yeah.
Um, I did have a question myself. So regarding like comprehension, how do you tackle that when you work with your clients? Because I have some clients where it's like reading's totally fine, and I guess I wouldn't put them as like hyperlexic or anything, but they can read really well, but it's like they're not comprehending what they're
Right,
reading. So how do you tackle that?
right. So I have a kid who he's like reading at a above age level, really good, proficient, and but he doesn't remember anything we read. Like he doesn't comprehend it, right? So one things that I use, which have worked for me a lot, is a visual organizer. So we'll
Okay.
we'll read, and then we'll read about so like the Three Little Pigs, right? Just using that as an example. We'll talk about the first house, the straw house, and then we'll draw it, and then we'll save it for later, and then we'll talk about this other topic, and then we'll go back to that topic we previously talked about, and then we'll foreshadow like what's going to happen next. This
Okay.
helps them like build kind of a train of thought while they're
Like a
reading.
projection. Yeah.
So I mean that's my best advice on regarding that. Uh,
Okay.
yeah. I hope
Okay. That makes sense. So,
I like using like a big um I don't know if you've seen like those tables that are whiteboards, uh,
hmm
or just a big whiteboard and then just being able to just draw it out while they're reading it with a marker and then being able to organize the events to help them.
What about from like a syntactical level, though? Like if we're looking solely at like sentences and them not comprehending that, like would you look at it from like the different clauses, having them understand like subordinating conjunctions and how that changes meaning, or what would you do?
Um, hmm, yeah. I mean, I would do the same approach, kind of right.
Okay.
Um, and then kind of yeah, like we could practice syntax, like just changing a word or two and how that affects that whole
Fix the meaning.
story and the meaning.
Okay. I
Uh,
like that.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So
Uh,
cause and effect approach. That seems
yeah.
fun.
Yeah, and it's once you like if you guys check out these screeners, it has a lot of information regarding all these particular specific areas, um, and how you could implement your specific goal for your kid just geared towards that. So like if you could see like certain errors that they're making when they read and be able to understand like, oh yeah, so they are not grasping that particular area, right? Or being able to
Hmm.
see like, okay, maybe if we focus a lot more on this, being able to practice that. Um, yeah.
That seems cool.
Yeah. Do kids,
Awesome.
oh, I already answered
Yeah.
that.
Awesome. Does anyone have any other questions or any inquiries or you can I know Jackie was on fire today.
It's really neat.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. And a lot of the clients, they're gonna be grateful for you looking out for them and being able to help them read. I think reading is very important. I know a lot of people think that like it's not our really that scope of practice or saving it for the teachers, let them teach the kids to read. But with literacy, you could do so much, so much. Me personally, I only read probably one book by myself in elementary school. But that one book, it was a bridge to what is it?
Terabithia.
Yeah, isn't that book awesome?
Well, I haven't read that one, but I,
Okay.
I was an avid reader. I watched the movie.
Yeah, you gotta read that book. I was like, I read it and I just like fell in love with reading. So after that book, I just started reading. It's like just that one book opens up a
That's
lot of
beautiful.
perspective, a lot of different insight. And when kids learn to do that, that's when I think it levels them up on their ways of thinking.
I agree. Yeah, my mom's a children's author, and so when I was a kid, she used to read me like her own stories and stuff, and it was fun. So I loved reading as a kid. Total
That's
big
awesome.
nerd. Yeah.
I'm so happy to hear that.
Yeah, but I'm glad that like you found that book and it led you to this because it's like think about like even you being a part of this field and things like if you
Yeah,
never picked up reading, you probably would never want to be a speech language pathologist.
right,
So,
right.
yeah, that's cool.
I think I do have what's it called? Dysgraphia with math.
Hmm.
That's when you have a hard time reading math. I think I have that because I suck at math.
I mean, that's also why people say that they become SLPs though for
Uh,
hating math. Although I liked math until I got to calculus. My joke is like, yep, the limit does exist. I do not like calc.
but yeah. Is there any more questions or anything? Have you seen your clients' growth? Do you screen them once a year, or how do you measure their progress? I have seen a lot of my kids grow. Because these screeners, you could measure them over time, which whatever you decide what that time is. It could be a year, it could be every 3 months, every 6 months. You could rescreen them and see where they're at. So you and it kind of with for example, the miscues analysis, it shows you what particular areas is more challenging for them. So it gives you a base, of where they're at. And then once you do it again, you see the improvement grow. So I really, I do see a lot of my clients grow. Um, yeah. And I screen like whatever, I kind of like screen probably like every 6 months when I'm writing progress reports, you know, um, see where they're at. Um, I was series of unfortunate events kid. I read all 13
Those
books.
books were solid.
Yeah. Edgar Allan Poe for me. Oh wow.
Dark poetry. Okay. I
Do
love
you,
those
do you
too.
ask them to write to see how, you know what, I do want to see everybody's favorite books growing up. So
Yeah, everyone share your favorite books or like what got you reading or writing or
do you ask them to write to see how they express themselves? Um, yeah, I mean, yeah, actually I do. Not with the screeners, it's more reading. The ones I shared anyways are more reading. But for example, like writing, on we play games with lively letters, for example. That one's always fun, where they write a sound, a word, and then I kind of have to like practice with them. Um, writing to, I have a the particular client that I talked about that has comprehension, where he reads and he doesn't comprehend about it. Sometimes he kind of is reserved to himself. So a lot of the times I just have a whiteboard for him and whatever he decides to write, kind of, I let them express themselves that way. A lot of AAC kiddos come in with AAC devices and they love writing, or using the AAC device to express themselves that way. And do you and your SLP make goals after screeners? Okay, so yeah. Oh, I forgot to like talk about this topic too. So there's another thing with being micromanaged and macromanaged, right? With your SLP, with your therapist. If your SLP you're working under likes to be in control and really likes to lead everything, then screeners, you kind of have to have that conversation with them about being able to screen the child. You can't just do that and waste a session and time, and then being able to talk about it with your SLP afterwards. So I recommend if they're very macro managed, you just be able to talk to them beforehand about what you learn and what you want to do. Have that conversation with them and be able to apply it, with the goal writing and help them out with all that. But my self lead, he's really cool with me. He understands that I'm trying to be an SLP myself. So I'm very micromanaged. So like, if I apply the screener, I let him know, and hey, this kid is reading like at this grade level, and then he'll apply it too just to double check, and then it's like, wow, that's amazing. Yeah, let's get this kid reading, stuff like that, or seeing the errors they're producing and being able to implement, um, being able to see like what particular errors are doing and helping my SLP with that. But I usually talk about it with them before I do it, just to make sure that, being able to be in the same page, kind of. Um, but my SLP kind of recommended some of the screeners with me, so he helped me out a lot. Judy B. Jones, the Diary. Oh, I know that book. It's fun to write silly or scary sentences together. Yeah, that is fun. What about English learners? Do they have screeners that work for them too? Um, so there is patterns of for bilingual kids learning English. There is like a some errors that are pattern that you kind of notice. So I think in my website I shared a specific bilingual. I know I didn't talk about it much, but in my website, you guys can see it. Um, I do talk about bilingual bilingual intervention, um, code switching, all that. Um, so you can find more resources here on this page regarding that. So I don't really do too much screeners with English learners just because they already have a hard time reading and all that. Um, are you or are any screeners normed for that population? Um, what was?
Oh, that was corresponding with the
Oh,
bilingual
okay.
population. Yeah.
I also did Goosebumps and Come Back Amelia to my childhood reading was all right. That's funny. Are you at a school? I think I missed that. Oh, I'm sorry. I do private clinic. That's my setting. I have worked at a school district though too. Uh, yeah. I've read a lot in like groups with the books, with the kiddos that are in a group uh setting. Read a lot of the book, asked questions and that target vocabulary a lot through there, labeling. Um, you are very fortunate to have a supporting SLP. You know what? I am very fortunate and very grateful because I know the struggle out there to find a supporting SLP. Um, so if you do manage to find one, do help them back, you know? So with all these screeners, all this extra effort that I've do to not only just help my client, progress. I help like the clinic, I help the SLP, I help, myself overall, like be so the more you have these tools available for you, the more you could in the moment be able to apply these skills and be able to it helps you out in the end is what I'm trying to say. So if your SLP is doing something and you're very interested in it, like why not just ask them like, hey, how do you do that? Can I be able to do that in the future? Help you out with that. Yeah. Thank you. I'm looking at your web page. And it's not the best web page, so sorry about that. And it's still a work in progress. Um, yeah. And then I do have um frog and toad shirt on.
I noticed that. I was
I
like, the
was like,
literacy vibes.
yeah,
Hmm. Love it.
I hope you become a great mentor for SLPAs when you become an SLP supervisor. I'm grateful. Oh yeah, of course. Like I think I've gone over 8 different SLPs and probably like one or two has been like very helpful in my career, been able to help me. So I hope that changes in the future.
Me too. Okay, this is gonna sound terrible, but I think a lot of that has to do with SLPs not starting as SLPs first. I think there's a very different vibe when you start out as like the assistant and then become like the SLP. I feel like you're so much kinder. Is that the proper word? But yeah,
Yeah.
even in my grad cohort, oh no, this is recorded. But yeah, there was not a lot of good vibes. Um, yeah, hopefully no one sees it for my cohort though.
Yeah, that's not
But
recording.
yeah. Right? I know. Stop recording. Skip, edit. Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, I think that's a valid, insight because I totally agree. I feel like, some SLPs they just go through straight to grad school and never worked, and all of a sudden they just start
Mhm.
working and and it's sometimes it's really hard. You get thrown like a huge caseload, and like
Okay, well, thank you so much, Eric, for presenting with us today and sharing your knowledge. This was all super informative. I can't wait to share the recording with everyone in the group as well as your resources. So thank you.
please, thank you guys, and hope everybody enjoyed and took something from it. I wish everybody a good night. We're done, right?
Yes.